Hello, this is Mark Wildman of Wildman Athletica, and today we are going to open a box from Gymnastics Forza. Today we will be opening the box with this brand new CRKT CEO, which is a super small, super fun knife for opening boxes such as this. Box number one, Gymnastics Forza. Oh, that's a gear bag of some type. Looks like a gi bag for judo gis. Second gear bag, number two, Gymnastics Forza. Looks like we accidentally sliced our info in half here, opening it up. That's our commercial invoice. This thing ships from Thailand. First item here, this looks to be like a belt. So the whole concept with this Gymnastics Forza unit is that it is a ring system, like a gymnastics rings trainer, where you can put counterbalance load on it to help people get over transition in various types of get-ups. There's a whole ring setup to help people learn basics of gymnastics movements. So this is very much like a climbing belt or a rigging belt. It's supposed to be my size. It has big old Cobra buckles on there. Metal Cobra buckles. Yeah, that looks to be a legit one. Attachment points. These will probably be the hook points that hook us to the sky. And there should be a spot for each leg. And it should adjust all the way through. So, product one. Here we go. Now we have two of these. These are the ropes, I believe, that will connect us to the sky, to the ceiling. So pretty simple. Webbing that looks like inch and maybe 3/4 webbing. Pull through strap like you would see on a normal set of gymnastics rings that you'd use for CrossFit. And these will be the counter clips. So I'm thinking that hooks to the clip on your side, and then that will pass through our pulley at the top, and we will be able to add counterweights to ourselves. And we have two of those, one for each side of the body, and a set of gymnastics rings, also with counterweight points. Gymnastics rings, nice wood rings, look good, labeled with the company name on it, clips in. I'm not quite sure what these are. I'm sure we'll find out. And these are probably the weight loops. I think with these, what we'll be able to do is run it through a counterweight and clip it off, and then clip it to one of the ends of these ropes. Probably that side right there. And we are going to be able to put a counterbalance on our body for practicing basic gymnastics skills. Let's look in this bag here. This has got something in it. Black strap, one. This is a spreader bar like you would use in circus aerial with a pulley point on both sides. And clip points and swivels. Not quite sure. I believe that this is a trainer for doing flares. I can't do flares, so this is going to be useful for me. All the construction looks very good. That's a spreader bar what you would use in rigging in movies or in aerial, but it's probably been custom made for them. Normally the ones you see are more of a pure triangle shape. That is a climbing swivel that you would use in aerial arts. I use these all the time in aerial arts. We put a D-ring connection on the top, a D-ring connection on the bottom, and that allows circus apparatus to spin. That will allow this to freely spin. They've had everything marked with their logo. Not sure that's necessary, but it's pretty cool. And I'm not quite sure what this strap here is for, but we're going to figure it out. One large, big strap, piece of webbing. Two gear bags, one for each thing. One gear bag for the flare unit. Let's put all that stuff back in this flare bag. And all of the other stuff will go in the other bag. The other stuff is for the normal gymnastics ring trainer, which is belt, rings, weight attachment points, and pulley ropes, it looks like. So this is something I've had my eye on for a while. My friend has one of these and was using it to train muscle-ups for movies. Basically, the idea is muscle-ups are really hard for most people to get because of the transition point in the middle. It becomes a technique issue. This allows us to train around that idea in a different way. You don't need equipment like this to learn to do muscle-ups, but it really, really, really helps. The way I think of it is it's an experience game, the way I think of everything. The more experience points you can get, the more likely you are to succeed at a skill. When I write athletic training programs, I write intermediate weights and high numbers because most people need to gain experience. If you started training gymnastics when you were 5 and you started doing rings when you were 7 or 8, you learned all the points in between muscle ups and everything else early on in your athletic career, and it becomes something that's ingrained into you. People who start training when they're like 5, 7, and they train until they're 18 end up with thousands upon thousands of hours of training. That training is very, very hard to replicate once people reach adulthood after 18, when they have the responsibilities of being an adult. They have to carry a household or a family. Everything needs to be much more compact. You can train kids horrendously and they'll likely succeed because of the sheer amount of time that you put into the training. If you train a kid an hour a day, 5 days a week, that's 5 hours a week. That's a super low number for something like gymnastics, where most people are training 2 to 3 hours a day when they're young. And they could get, let's say, 5 hours a week. If they did it 50 weeks a year, that would be 250, which is a low number for most people who are doing something like gymnastics, especially on a competitive level. And then multiply that by years. Most people are getting 2 to 3 hours a day or 10 to 15 hours a week. And that's still even at the lower level of training that is done, but that can put you at, 5,000 to 10,000 hours of training before they reach age 18. After 18, we can no longer make up that amount of time because people don't have that amount of time unless they are very well off and have absolutely nothing else to do with their time. So something like this product is going to allow us to gather points at an easier way. So instead of using full body weight development drills like you would find in CrossFit, the idea with this is we hang it up, we put counterbalance on it. I'm going to be using these Kettlebell Kings adjustable kettlebells because I can adjust 1K on each side, and we can start doing muscle ups, and we can make our body lighter so that we can work our way through the transition point. My idea is that I'm going to start running volume cycles, as I do with almost everything, and we're going to start with a couple of sets of 3 to 5. We have no idea. I haven't done muscle ups in years now because COVID has closed all the gyms that I normally go to, and so I haven't done any muscle up training in well over 2.5 years. Also, I did not do a lot of muscle up training before that because I did circus arts. I did specifically aerial rope, aerial fabric, hammock, and static trapeze. So I haven't been up in the air to maintain my aerial skills in about 2 years now. I would like to remedy that fact because it seems very apparent that COVID is not going to end. We are not going to be able to go back to the gyms in the foreseeable future. Some gyms are open in some parts of the world, but not everywhere. Certainly, the gym that I used to run is closed and will remain closed because it was in Los Angeles, and Los Angeles is still definitely on lockdown, especially for small gyms like the one that I ran. So I'm going to be using this system in order to add complexity to something that I've done a lot of before, pull-ups. I started doing pull-ups in the rafters of a barn when I was a kid, and we started doing pull-ups, not exactly like a muscle-up like you would find in CrossFit, but we would pull up and get a leg up onto a beam and climb up onto it. More of a natural, primitive style of climbing or pull-up. And then for years, the pull to the sky portion of training that I did was aerial itself. Think of aerial as infinitely complex pull-ups. You can just do pull-ups, but they get boring after a couple of years. You do 100 pull-ups a day for about 5 years, they get pretty boring after that. So aerial allows you to add complexity to that system of doing pull-ups, and you can add complexity to that system forever. That is one system that is definitely infinite. It moves in all 6 directions, all 6 degrees of freedom: heaving, pitching, surging, swaying, rolling, yawing. Did I get them all? I think I got them all. And you can reorder movements in aerial forever. You can make them harder, you can make them easier, but what you actually need to do that is a really high point. Minimum height that I need is a 20-foot point. There is no 20-foot point in this barn, so we're not going to do that. We are going to find another way to fill that type of skill, pulling to the sky, which is not something that we have talked about a lot on this channel because we have been focusing for the last 2 years since COVID hit on things like kettlebells, clubs, things that can be done in confined spaces with a very limited amount of equipment and we can add complexity to for a long period of time. We've focused almost exclusively on those types of programs thus far because that's what most people are going to be able to do. With this Gymnastics Forza system, we are going to step outside of what normal people probably will seek to accomplish. But I really like this idea, and I like the fact that the whole thing is going to come in these 2 little bags, and it will meet a need that I have, something that travels very well. It is light, the gear is replaceable. It's not super expensive. This whole setup, I think, runs about $500, which is kind of outside of the range of what most people are willing to spend on a lot of types of equipment. But something like this is going to have infinite amounts of complexity built into it. That's what we are looking for. We can also start light and make it heavy over time, which is something that I fight with people about a lot. The ability to regulate how hard it is for people of different types of skill levels in order to accomplish the task. Most people straight up just don't learn to accomplish muscle ups because they can't make themselves light enough to get through the transition phase. And if they wanted to get good at it, it would require a lot more time than they have to put into the system to get out what they want. I am hoping to work with this in 2022, and we are going to see how much I can get out of the system in, say, 20-minute time frames. Very short time frames, very specifically focused on what I want to accomplish, which is regaining my ring muscle ups. And we are gonna do it by doing a lot of reps and adjusting the counterweights. We'll make more videos about this topic as it comes, but right now we are just going to start and we're gonna see where we can hang this thing up in this barn because it is snowing outside and my aerial rig is on the other side of the country. So we are going to improvise and adapt, and we are going to figure out how to make this work, and we'll probably be wearing gloves because it's awful dirty in here.